Who was Alexander Marjoribanks? Alexander Marjoribanks was born on the 29th of November 1750 here in Bathgate. He was convener and magistrate for Linlithgowshire for more than 30 years. He was the proprietor and superior of the Barony of Bathgate. He voluntarily gave up his barony in 1824 so that Bathgate may become a borough of barony, which he was chosen to be the first Lord Provost of Bathgate. The Marjoribanks family came to prominence in the early 16th century, when the Court of Session, the Supreme Court of Scotland, was reinstated by King James V of Scotland in 1532. Thomas Marjoribanks was one of 10 advocates appointed as procurators before the Lords of Session. 4 centuries before the introduction to the legal aid, Scottish courts recognised the need for the poor to be represented by able lawyers. And then in March 1535, Thomas was appointed advocate for the poor with a salary of £10.49 per annum. He accepted the post and waived his right to the salary. His public-spirited nature rewarded him when he was made Lord Provost of Edinburgh in 1540, representing the city in Parliament of that year and again in 1546. He acquired lands at Ratho by the Charter in 1539, which enabled him, 10 years later, to assume the title Lord of Ratho on his appointment as judge. After Lord Ratho died, the chiefship fell on his grandson, Thomas, who sold Ratho in 1614. The family acquired lands at Balbardie, Bathgate, around 1624. The family home, Balbardie House, was built in 1793 on Balbardie lands, which were acquired by Thomas Marjoribanks in 1624. The house was constructed under the design of the architect Robert Adam, son of William Adam. Built for Alexander Marjoribanks, Balbardie was Robert's last villa, set in an outstandingly beautiful landscape. The central block's a storey higher, with a steeply pitched roof, the pedimented and pilastered first floor, which linked to its pavilions by 2 outstanding exsidri, concave vaulted porches. The Balbardie coal mines tunnelled underneath. Once the Marjoribanks family abandoned it, it became occupied by miners, then later demolished following subsidence. He married in 1790 Catherine, daughter of Gilbert Laurie of Polmont, Lord Provost of Edinburgh, and had 10 children, although many others died during infancy. Their oldest son, Alexander, was born on October 31st, 1792, and was a magistrate for Linlithgowshire. Known for being a traveller, he wrote many books about his travels across the Americas and New Zealand. He died 14th of August 1864, aged 71 years. Marjoribanks financed and fought the legal dispute over the will of John Newlands, being a trustee of the Newlands wealth. Marjoribanks is remembered for ensuring the money from Newlands wealth went on to finance the construction of Bathgate's first proper school, the Old Academy. Although the full sum of Newlands wealth was not granted to the people of Bathgate. One of the major streets in Bathgate running by the Old Academy is named after the man who ensured its construction, Marjoribanks Street. The estates of Balbardie and Bathgate, which had been for several centuries in the family, were sold in 1861 to the trustees of Stuart's Hospital for £48,000. Alexander Marjoribanks was then buried in the Old Kirk graveyard at Kirkton. In memory of Alexander Marjoribanks Esquire of Marjoribanks in Balbardie, convenor of Linlithgow County, who died 8th of September 1830, aged 79. Catherine Laurie, his spouse, daughter of Gilbert Laurie Esquire of Polmont House, died 18th of November 1853, aged 85. Mr. Marjoribanks was a very generous person. He was known as the good old laird, was a good friend of Bathgate, and was the first Lord Provost of the town, and deserves to be remembered in ever grateful memory.